right, let's hear what he has to say about Bill.
And he's given us banger after banger after banger. So I guess this was on his Monday morning podcast here. And he really breaks this down in a way that Democratic politicians need to take notes, bro. Democratic politicians need to take notes and realize this is how it's done.
Yeah, see, I'm not saying that Bill Burr should be a politician. Like, you know, I'm not one of those people that's like, yeah, like anybody I like should be a politician. I'm saying that Bill Burr should probably consult for politicians. Because Bill Burr is spot on a lot of the fucking time. You know, he's got his bad takes. Everybody does. I definitely have some bad takes. But like, if you wanted somebody that could teach you how to have a fucking backbone and still be like a caring human being, it'd be somebody like Bill Burr. Obviously, George Carlin, if George Carlin was still alive, that'd be my number one choice. But George, bless his heart, not with us. We're going to have to go with Bill. I think Bill's our only chance.
So the MAGA narrative, the Republican narrative, is that, yeah, this country's fucked up. Yeah, you're hurting. I feel your pain, but let me tell you what the problem is. The problem are the immigrants and the trans people. That's who's causing the problem. And so, put us in power. Crazy. We will crack down on the trans people and the immigrants, and then your life will flourish. It's the fucking people
that make up like 1%
this is the core of their argument
society,
on the right,
not the billionaires.
And
well, actually, I guess
for my whole life, the Democrats haven't really offered a counter narrative, a counter story. They haven't said what they have said. I should say is, look, things are pretty good. They're good, so you know, don't complain too much. Things are good. Things are good. But I promise you, we will do some awesome tweaks around the edges to slightly improve your life. And look, any Democrat in office is going to act way more rational than any Republican in the year 2025. But that story wasn't compelling enough for the public.
No, because people are they're jaded.
The actual counter story that needs to be told is exactly what Bill Burr says here. Let's get it.
By the way, I know everyone was freaking out about all that tariff stuff and all of that and what it was doing to the stock market. And then everybody jumped in, and it looked like just this big manipulation of the market.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So that rich people could get even richer.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then, you know, poor people could still chant USA, USA at a UFC event. I literally do not understand what's going on. First of all, I might be wrong on this. This whole idea that other countries stole our jobs, like our factory jobs and all that, as far as I remember, that's not the case. Here's a little quick history from someone who doesn't read a lot. In the 1800s, during the, what was that period called? The Industrial Revolution. They had like kids working in factories, like fucking 12, 14-hour days, like 4 or 5-year-old kids in dangerous situations. And people weren't making any money. And the one guy who owned the factory was keeping all the money. These robber barons, who all should be in fucking jail. But politicians don't make any money, and they just throw them money, so they are on the legal side of stealing. No one's ever gone to jail for being a robber baron. Anyway, so the working man finally has enough. They start organizing unions. The robber barons hire police, the army, all of these people to come in and kill these people in riots, crack their skulls, do unbelievable sorts of damage to them to try and force them to go back to work for sweatshop wages. These people died, were maimed, catastrophic fucking injuries, so that we could have a decent wage in this country. And they had unions and all of that. So then there was like a 40, 50-year period where being a middle-class person, middle-class white person, was the dream. You know, because there was still racism, classism, and all of that shit, right? Well, middle class is a class. You know, there's still racism, okay? And then what happened was eventually these corporations just got sick of dealing with these unions. And they're hard-nosed negotiating and all that. And then they just said, well, fuck you then. You know, keep your union, keep your factory. We're leaving. And they took their factories outside of the U.S. and went back to 1800 wages in Mexico, China, wherever the hell they're building them. So then what happened was once people realized that that was happening, there was this pushback. This is how it happened during my lifetime. People were like, what the fuck? You should be making those things here. And then what the corporate guy said was, well, you know, we would make sneakers here, but if to pay the American worker and everything, the sneakers would then, instead of costing $50, they'd now cost $700. And I was always thinking, why? It would cost $700. I can't afford that. And what it really was they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor. So if they came back to America, we weren't going to work for that. So, and they weren't going to take they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor, so they were going to pass it on to the consumer. That's what the fuck happened. So all of this talk that, Mexico stole our jobs, China stole our jobs, they didn't steal the jobs. They were exploited by the super rich cunts that are not patriots in this country. They're not. They're pieces of shit. So that's what the fuck happened. So, and then here we are all of these years later in an effort to get, this labor to come back. We're somehow trying to punish these other countries who've been suffering with sweatshop labor from a handful of super rich people from this country that fucked everyone in this country and every other country that they went to around the world, making America look bad. But what do? They divide us. They have the American worker who's getting fucked, mad at the whatever other worker around the world who's also getting fucked, actually getting fucked worse, getting sweatshop slave wages. So I really believe that was happening. And I don't understand what that whole fucking thing was. But all I know is, once again, the market tanked and a bunch of rich people, right before they turned it back on again, went in and made a ridiculous amount of money. And they're all high-fiving with each other.
$2.5 billion.
And I don't know, this guy.
Fantradad, thank you for the 99 cents. What up, fan? What's going on? Yeah, this is something that I think people have been saying a little bit lately. And it's something that people should be aware of, is that Vietnamese didn't steal your jobs. Chinese people didn't steal your jobs. Greedy corporations doubled down on suffering. They could have offered you cheaper products for cheaper prices. They're getting them made for fucking nothing. But they don't. And even worse, like I said, they're getting them made for nothing. Because they're not even paying those people money. They're paying them fucking pennies on the dollar. It's what makes me the angriest about what's going on right now. Is there has never in my lifetime been a moment like this where America's lack of self-awareness and greed has ever been this apparent. Just right on the face. No shame, no embarrassment, no fucks. Just me. It's all that's important. It is fucking insane to watch. And we are on the cusp of potentially a time where the everyday working person, not just in America, but around the world, could benefit from advancements in technology that lead us to a place where you work 3 or 4 days a week and get more time with your family. Where advancements in technology and the enrichment of society through wealth and resources lead to every person having access to a home and to food and the potential for happiness. And instead of embracing this idea where we all work together and make this happen, somehow these rich motherfuckers have convinced the dumbest fucking people in our society to shit on the people that would bring about this change. It's fucking insane. You don't need to hate the people in the sweatshops. You should feel empathy for them. You don't need to hate the single mother that doesn't have money for daycare, so she can't get a job, so she's on food stamps. You should want her to be happy and healthy and her kids to come up because they're going to be part of your society one day. There has never been a more mask-off moment in my lifetime for America than right now. It's like we have to be number one. But when I say we, I mean just like as an individual. I mean, every American thinks the most important thing is to be number one, and everybody else has to be number two. Like, that's fucking insane. We don't need that. It's not a zero-sum game. You don't have to own everything and nobody else gets to win. It's not necessary. It doesn't. There is no reward for winning. You don't get anything. You die just like I do. You know, you get cancer. You have a fucking stroke. You get heart disease. There is no winning. We all go in the same fucking box. It's what you do while you're here that matters. It's not how you finish. Jesus Christ. That's fucking crazy. Oh, you're gonna go see Manny? You're gonna go see Crystal and Kyle? Kyle. I can't help but say Kyle all the time. You gonna go see him? Send him my way, Manny. Tell him to watch my show. Tell Crystal and Kyle to watch my show. Once again, thank you for the 99 cents. Fan. Somebody went and saw Seven Dust. I think my wife went and saw Seven Dust at one point. Yeah, corporations don't have patriotism silent. They're not people. I don't give a fuck what Citizens United said. Corporations do not represent people. They represent shareholders, and those motherfuckers aren't human beings. Just a heads up. Let's see. Fans late to the party. That's okay. You came in hot. The experiment here is cracking and crumbling through more than the usual. Yeah, exactly. People are making it less of a survival thing and more of a twisted Hunger Games type shit. 100%, Manny. People want to be entertained. They see that this shit is going down to a bad place, and instead of fucking doing something about it and trying to fix it, they want to watch the person next to them. And this is like, let me say it this way. Let me give you an analogy. It's that old analogy of you bring someone who's fatter and more out of shape with you into the woods, because when you both run from the bear, that person's going to fall down and the bear's going to eat them. That's how everybody is acting right now. Everybody is acting like there is a fucking bear chasing them, and the fucking mom with 2 children should be sacrificed. That is fucking crazy, man. It's so sad. This is not what I want my children to grow up in. It's not what I want your children to grow up in. Because at the end of the day, fucking a mom and 2 children are running the woods with me, and there's a bear fucking chasing us. You know, I'm stopping. Like, fucking keep running. You know? Like, there's got to be a line for you morally where you say, that's too far. I can't live with myself knowing I did something like that. If you don't have that, I mean, is there hope for society? You know, that's the question, right? Is if the people in power don't have that empathetic structure where they say to themselves, I'm willing to do X to become successful, but I will not cross this line. Because if you get to that point and there's no line, and that's Donald Trump for you, right? Somebody said the other day, and you should check this before repeating it or saying it's true. But somebody said that Donald Trump was asked something. It was like climate change, or maybe it's something to do with the economy or something like that. And he said, I don't care. I would be dead by then. What? You know? Like, you have kids. You have a family. You have friends. Well, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have any friends. You don't care about, like, this is the 3-body problem, right? This is, if you haven't seen that series or read the book, you should read the book or watch the TV series, the 3-body problem. If something is going to happen that is going to harm people, but you will not be around to experience it, do you have a moral responsibility to do something about it? And some of us believe that answer is yes. And then some of us will go out and get shit-faced and, you know, die in 10 years of liver failure. And some of us will go out and do evil shit because they know the end is coming. So why not? And it feels like right now that the people that are in charge are those last people. People that when they see that their life is about to end, that climate change might bring upon us catastrophe, that they're like, fuck it, well, let's go full bore. Let's waste, all of the potential of humanity. Let's just fuck it. We won't be here anyways. That's what it feels like right now. Fandra, thank you for the $2. America, land of the stupid, home of the ignorant. And it has become that. And that's really fucking sad, man. That's really sad. Let's finish this video. Let's not listen to me up here just ranting. Manny, you going to bed? Night, Manny. Thanks for being here, Manny. Appreciate you. If you see Kyle, send him my way.
Guy told me something a long time ago. He says when you watch the stock market and they go like, up $2 billion was lost today. He's like, money isn't lost. Like, where did it go?
Share that in Discord.
That's just how they frame it. It isn't lost. It changes hands. All right, that's enough. That's just how they frame it. It isn't lost. It changes hands. All right, that's enough of that shit.
Wow. So what he's basically saying there is, all this talk about blame Mexico, blame China, the world is screwing us. This is what Trump thinks and what Trump says. That's totally bogus. None of that is true. What really happened is the billionaires, the robber barons, and the multinational corporations, at the time they weren't multinational, they were just corporations. They became multinational corporations because they decided, hey, instead of paying an American worker a decent wage and dealing with these unions who are annoying the shit out of us, let's lobby the government to make it legal to allow us to send these jobs overseas. And then we could pay the sweatshop wages and we can import really cheap consumer goods into this country.
It wasn't right now, for you, it was for them.
The collateral damage is the American middle class got totally hollowed out. There is no manufacturing base in America anymore. So you have all this despair in this country, all this poverty in this country, all this extreme income and wealth inequality in this country, and a demagogue like Trump comes along, and instead of calling out the villains who are the real villains, the billionaires, the robber barons, the multinational corporations that orchestrated this system for their own benefit and to screw the American workers, he says, no, it's China. Blame China. Blame China. It's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. Mexico didn't do anything wrong. None of these people did anything wrong. It was all
xenophobia.
A chase for profit. It was all a hunt for profit. And we don't care about the roadkill, the collateral damage, the innocent people whose lives have been destroyed. Right? And the other thing is, they're not even going to bring back manufacturing jobs. The idea that Trump said, these tariffs will bring back American manufacturing, that 100% is not going to happen.
Was I talking to you guys about this last night? I'm going to talk about it again in case people miss this. In America, we have a trade deficit when it comes to industrial goods, right? Our exports versus imports, which doesn't matter. To be honest with you, it's a stupid argument in the first place. But there is something that should be said about that there is a trade deficit, right? Because something that's really important is that though we have a deficit in like goods, consumer goods, we have surpluses in what's called services. That's like financial stuff, banking, insurance, things like Netflix, streaming services. So we export more services than anybody else in the world. We're the number one economy in the world for a reason. We're the number one market in the world for a reason. One of the things that's really crazy about Trump saying he wants to bring manufacturing back to America is it's ass backwards. If you go into a auto manufacturing plant today, you're not going to find tons of people working. You're going to find lots of robots on lines with a couple people operating them and keeping to make sure that they're good to go. There was a long time ago, there was the joke, right? The truck drivers, when Andrew Yang was running for president, he said, hey, we're going to have this problem where robots are going to be driving the trucks. And then we're going to have like one gentleman in a room with monitors that when one encounters an issue, he links in and drives the vehicle so that way it can get through like traffic or something like that. So like a lot of these trucks struggle or these cars struggle in massive amounts of traffic. So once it got to San Francisco, the person would link in and then drive the truck to its destination. When he said that, he said, this is a big problem. We have to realize that, coal mining is practically done. It's almost gone. Like we don't need people down in coal mines, losing their health. We don't need truck drivers driving trucks. And he said, so this is really important. This is why he thought that we should have UBI. And at that time, a lot of people obviously shit on that, but somebody made a joke, or I don't remember if it was a joke or if it's somebody being sarcastic or if it was something that somebody genuinely said. I can't remember. But they said, learn to code. And it became this meme, right? People were like, learn to code, But it's actually right. It's actually true. Because the idea of learn to code doesn't make sense for, say, a truck driver that's been driving for the last 30 years. He's not going to change his whole lifestyle and learn to code. But we should be influencing all the younger people that are coming up to work within the services, because that's where the world is going. I mean, if it doesn't burn down first, okay, all right. If there's a chance, if the country burns down, none of this will matter. maybe that's the point. But young people should be being better influenced into jobs that are going to exist rather than holding on to this idea of what America used to be, right? Like anybody that's ever been in a business, and this is really ironic, being that Donald Trump thinks he's a really good businessman, knows that there's a time where you pivot. There's a time where you look at your sales, you look at products within your business, and you say to yourself, man, these products got us here, but it seems like there's a real change in our consumership, and we need to follow along the fad, whatever new fad it is. And so you pivot and you go with it. Well, right now the country is at that point. It's really strange that the President of the United States, his vice president, and all of his consultants seem fixated on selling to the American people that they're going to bring back industry, when the plans that they are currently putting forth to make this happen don't even make sense. You can't tariff on, tariff off to get people to build businesses within the United States of America. If you really wanted people to build businesses within the United States of America, you would put tariffs on other countries and you would just leave them on. You just say, that's it. Then you would invest in infrastructure within the country. You would build plants. You bring back jobs. You get people educated in those disciplines, and then you would build from there, right? But we're past that. It's not a time for America to relearn how to build cars. It's not a time for America to relearn the steel and aluminum industry. Instead, it's a time for America to focus on what it is doing the best in the world right now, and that is to continue working within the services and building that. And I think what it comes down to is they want you working. They don't want you thinking. They don't want you idle. They don't want you enjoying the time you have, because when you do, you start looking around and going, well, that's weird that all these billionaires have all these things, and here I am, I can barely afford to eat. It seems to me that they're bringing back industry, which, once again, is probably going to be a failure. But they want to bring back industry because they want to keep you distracted. Because it makes no goddamn sense to pivot to industry when services are what we do best. To me, I want to continue to talk about that, as I think that there's something much bigger going on than tariffs bringing back industry to America. I don't think that is what they're trying to do. I think that the Curtis Yarvin plan is there and in effect. I think that Peter Thiel and Palantir, as I want to go over that video soon, their new contracts with the government and how they're sharing their information, and how, if you are afraid of the Patriot Act and the NSA and everything that Edward Snowden exposed, how Palantir's 1,000 times worse. I think there's something that is much bigger going on than we're just tariffing people so that way we can bring back industry to help average everyday Americans.
because you can't bring back American manufacturing without a little thing called industrial policy, which means what? Not only do you tariff the foreign goods coming in, but you need to spend a massive amount of taxpayer money to prop up the industries that you want to thrive in this country. That's how it works. That's how it works. You can't, free market will take care of it. No, they fucking won't. You think some company's going to decide, here, I'll spend billions of dollars for a 10-year project to make a factory here, to then pay the American workers 40 times what I was paying somebody overseas. And I'm sure that'll be profitable for me in the long run. They're not going to do it. That's why you need the government to be involved. And the most important point here is Trump, even the idea, we're going to bring back textile manufacturing? What?
It doesn't make sense.
No, if you were to try to reinvigorate American manufacturing, it should be high-tech manufacturing jobs, right? Semiconductors, chips, things of that nature. And what did Trump do?
Have you tried turning
there was a Biden law
back on it? Hands off, that's my joke.
Brought chip manufacturing to this country. Trump killed it. He froze the funding. So Biden was creating 115,000 manufacturing jobs, high-paying manufacturing jobs for chips in this country. Trump killed it. So at the same time he's saying, I'm going to bring back manufacturing, he's killing the actual attempt to bring back manufacturing through industrial policy. That's what's happening. But look, he is 1 trillion % right, Bill Burr is, that the real issue, it was never China, it was never Mexico, trying to do this the foreign boogeyman bit. How many times have we gone through this in our life, right?
Yeah,
the problem is the Soviet Union, the problem is this country, the problem is that country. And it's or this group or that group. It's no, the enemy is in the house, bro. The enemy are the billionaires, the robber barons, the multinational corporations. Bribery has been legalized in this country. They bought the government. They rigged the rules and the laws in their favor, and they screwed over the American working class. And then when we actually got moving the ball in the right direction about 20% with Joe Biden, 800,000 manufacturing jobs coming back because of Joe Biden's industrial policy, Trump immediately killed it and sparked a global trade war. While, again, pointing the finger incorrectly at China and foreign countries like they're screwing us when they're not screwing us at all. The people who screwed the American worker were those industrialists, were those billionaires, were those robber barons, were those corporations which are now multinational corporations. And so he gets the core of it. And this is what Democratic politicians need to understand. You are not going to defeat...
Don't take my fans.
...in abrasive politics that names villains. You're not going to defeat that with some milquetoast, mealy-mouthed, vapid centrism of both sides and let's get along.
Yep.
They name villains, the wrong ones, but they have villains. You need to do the same thing and name the right villains
too. Yep.
So how do you actually address it? Well, it's obvious. We have income and wealth inequality that's off through the fucking roof. It's off the fucking charts what we're looking at now. You have to tax the wealthy. You have to tax them
from Canada.
And then take that money and give people health care and give people education and give people paid family leave and paid sick leave. Let people join a fucking union, right? Actually do industrial policy to bring back high-tech manufacturing jobs, which would massively, massively help this country. Yeah. It's called redistribution of wealth. It's called New Deal politics. And when he said there was that brief period where everybody was like, oh, this is great, that was during the New Deal, where the top marginal tax rate on the wealthy was 91%. In fact, I think it peaked at 93%.
I was going to say 93. Yeah.
So you taxed the rich a lot, and you made sure everybody else got their fair share, got some help at the bottom, had job availability at the bottom, and then you created a much more equal country, a much more fair country, where people actually felt like there was something called the American dream, right? The way you get back to that, it's not rocket science. It's the same fucking policies. It's the same policies. It's you tax the rich, you redistribute, you set up universal social safety net programs like a Social Security for all, like a universal single-payer healthcare, Medicare for all, like free college, eliminate the medical debt, let people join a union, do industrial policy to bring back high-paying manufacturing jobs. Like, this is what you do.
He's spot on.
And he's right. And it's crazy that a comedian who admittedly is like, I'm not even really all that political, and I don't even follow the news that much, but a comedian explained exactly what the problem is quickly. And he knows that Trump is full of fucking shit when Trump is like, oh, it's China, blame Mexico, blame Vietnam. Vietnam's been taking advantage of us for far... Really? Vietnam has been taking advantage of the United States of America for far too long? Do you fucking hear yourself? Do you hear yourself?
Come on.
No, the problem are all these trade deals that were written by the billionaires and by the corporations, rigged in their favor and screwed everybody else over. Yep. The one upside that we got out of it in the U.S. is low-cost manufacturing, low-cost consumer goods. And that was the one thing holding this country together with duct tape and bubble gum, is consumer goods that were really cheap. Because we've seen massive inflation when it comes to housing. We've seen massive inflation when it comes to education and when it comes to healthcare. Those things, the prices have skyrocketed. The one area where it didn't is consumer goods. Now, it's going to skyrocket for consumer goods too.
This shit's scary.
So the social safety net's being destroyed.
Scary.
People are going to lose their jobs. The prices are going to skyrocket. Buckle the fuck up. Because directly because of Trump's actions and because he named the wrong villain and fought the wrong trade war, as a direct result of that, things are going to get way, 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 way worse. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell.
We had some good videos tonight. We definitely had some good videos tonight. Wow. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And check out that video on the screen now.